We all have that friend who wakes up early to go get everyone McDonald's breakfast, while the rest of us sleep in. This is your sign to thank them. And if you're that friend, this is us saying thank you.
Just a friendly reminder that right now, get any size iced coffee before 11 a.m. for just 99 cents. And a satisfying sausage McMuffin with egg is just $2.79. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Streamed and Screened, an entertainment podcast about movies and TV from Lee Enterprises. I'm Terry Lipshetz, managing editor of the National Newsroom at Lee, and co-host of the program, Bruce Miller, editor of the Sioux City Journal and a longtime entertainment reporter. And basically, you're not from Sayreville, New Jersey. I'm from Sayreville, New Jersey. Dulé Hill is from Sayreville, New Jersey. That's the connection we got today. We're talking Jersey, baby.
You've got a better connection than I do to this, even though I sat in the interview. Now, what's the deal with that?
I know. And I think when you interviewed him, it was before you realized I didn't know him, but I
didn't have the Terry connection. I could have said, how was Terry in high school?
I know.
You must have heard about him, the legend, the man, the myth, all that stuff, right?
All that good stuff. He was probably like, I don't know. I was on Broadway at that time. I don't remember him whatsoever.
I was busy. I barely checked into school, right?
My favorite thing about Dulé Hill is, like, first of all, when he was in school, he was Kareem Hill. Like Dulé, I don't know, like Dulé maybe is his middle name or it's just his stage name. So he's Kareem Hill is his given.
It probably was another one with the same name in the Screen Actors Guild, and so you got to have a different name.
Right. It could be that. And then the other thing that was just funny is I went back and was looking at the high school yearbook, and he looks like, as a kid, basically looks like a childish version of his adult self. Like he doesn't have like facial hair or anything, but if you look at him then, you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely Dulé Hill. Like you there's no mistaking in it. But the funniest thing is, you know how when you're in your senior year and it lists all of your activities, right? So it's like, you're part of a drama club, you were on the football team, you were doing the yearbook, you were whatever. It just says like Dulé Hill soccer 1. So he like played soccer as a freshman, and that's it. So if you go back and look at his yearbook, you're thinking like, this guy did nothing. Like what did he do? He was here for 4 years, and he was just
he was on Broadway at that time.
He was on Broadway. He had other things to do than play like JV soccer.
He was in a Jillian TV series, where they do a one shot. So the kid was working like crazy. He has he has siblings that are older that were kind of doing the same thing, but he really hit. He was in Tap Dance Kid. I think he was the understudy. And then he went to Bring Into Noise, Bring Into Funk. You'll hear in the interview that I did with him that really he wanted to kind of make a different name for himself when he went to California. And it was, I don't want to be known as the dancer, singer, whatever, variety show guy. I want to be an actor. I want to be regarded for that. And so when he did The West Wing, I mean, that is a good way to reinvent yourself, is just go somewhere else and then be that guy. So it's interesting. But yeah, I did an interview with him when I was in California. He has a new TV show called The Expressway with Dulé Hill. It's on PBS. It's only 4 episodes, so you better grab it now when it starts airing this month. But it's about different kinds of art, different ways that art brings people together. He says politicians pull you apart, but the arts bring you together. And he went across the country talking to people in various places about, the things they do that are arts related. Now, you don't have to be of his caliber. You don't have to be a singer and dancer with Broadway credits and a Tony nomination and an Emmy nomination and all these other things to your credit. You can just do it as a way of kind of bringing out your own feelings. And one of the people he hits is Amethyst. Amethyst is a singer, and she was very scared and kind of, she didn't know how to relate to other people, and music brought it out in her. And now she's a Grammy nominee, and she's featured on this series. He also talks to a bunch of older women who are burlesque artists, and they show him how to do burlesque. He talks to the first LGBTQ mariachi band. So, I mean, it's just a huge variety of different kinds of arts and how they help them through these kinds of situations. But I got a chance to ask him about those tap dance years and what he does now and what his big goal is with all of that, what he would like to do. He was last on Wonder Years, the reboot of the Wonder Years. He was the dad on that show. And he, like me, he doesn't know what happened to the show. It was caught up in COVID, and I think they just decided they were going to cut their losses and end the show. So he's doing a lot of things. But anyway, here's our interview with Dulé Hill. I remember seeing you as a kid tap dance, and then I saw you in
After Midnight.
Mm-hmm. And I was shocked that you had such skills. And I thought, why are they going to waste?
Industry's an interesting thing. Like once they start to see you in one way, they kind of forget. When I first came to LA trying to make space as an actor, it was always, the dancer, because I just came off of Bring the Noise, Bring the Funk, which was on Broadway. And even Aaron Sorkin, in his book about the West Wing, had said, he told the casting directors, if more dancers act like Dulé, then we need to hire more dancers. But now, as life goes on, people kind of forget, because you've had the West Wing, you've had Psych and different shows over the years. People forget. They're like,
sure.
Oh, you're a tap.
You become this thing.
This thing. It's like,
thing.
Right. Instead of realizing that artists, I think in general, are a breadth of things.
With this, you travel around the country looking for what I thought were things that I didn't know about. Mm-hmm. How do you find those?
I think, you have to have a great producing partner. And Danny Lee and the team over at Calico really did a great job of sourcing a lot of the stories that we could tell. And then from there, we had conversations about it. And then certain people just started to really stick out to say, you know what, that seems to be very, that's something that we should explore.
So how many states did you get to?
We've covered, we went to 5 states. It's always, like I say about this show, this is the tip of the iceberg of all the deep and profound stories, inspiring stories that are out there. We forget how vast this country is, how big this country is. And there are all these people in this country who are using their art to create change, to affect the world around them, to shine a light in a dark place, to hopefully inspire those who empower those who feel powerless. And it's a beautiful thing to see, because you end up being in a dynamic where people start to believe that they can when they're surrounded in a world that says you cannot.
So where politics is trying to narrow things down.
Politics is trying to narrow things down. Art is trying to expand it. Art is trying to expand the lens. I think a lot of times politics, they do try to build up division. Art tears down division. I think art is the great opposing force to politics, because it says, no, we are more connected than we realize. We really are on the same journey. We really are looking for the same things, whether you're down in Texas, whether you're in San Francisco, whether you're in urban Chicago, whether you're in the mountains of Appalachia. When you get down to the core of it, we're all striving for the same things. We want to be seen. We want to be heard. We want to know that we can take care of ourselves and take care of our loved ones. We want to find peace and joy and happiness and be able to just enjoy this moment. Is it safe to say that? And pretty much 9 times out of 10, I would say 10 times out of 10, everyone is going to say yes.
I think you can't undercut talent. You can't say that somebody isn't talented. I
would say we all have our unique gifts that are specific to us. Am I talented at being a writer? No. Am I gifted to be that? No. And I think that what we often don't honor is that thing, that driving force that is inside of us, is something that we have a passion to do. I think oftentimes either society or ourselves or a combination of both can negate that, could take that away to say, you know what, no, that's nobody wants to see that. And it's like, no, that's what the show is about. It's like, no, we do want to see it.
Yeah.
Because that's inside of you. You should share it, because as you share it, you're shining a light, you're lighting a fire, you're creating change. And we need you to do it.
Right.
As we look around in our country, we see so much, what I feel a lot of times, there's so much negativity. We need ourselves to tap into our own different forms of expression, to put it out there, put that energy out there. You can't put energy out and it not have an effect. Once you put positive energy out in the world, it's going to have an effect. And if we all can continue to do that, we can make this world a better place.
As a child, what did you think talent did for you?
I think for me, it empowered me to know that I could, period. It allows me to know that I can do something. I can make this music with my feet, these noise with my feet, really. As I started to get into acting and singing, I could do this. My brother played soccer. He was really prolific at it. I could do that. I think being able to, when you start to get exposed to something and then you realize that you have the ability to do something, and it lets you find value in yourself.
I am not an athlete, but I can applaud the athlete because they are working very hard and they are very skilled. Mm-hmm. But maybe they can't do what I can do.
But that's what I was going to say is, I'm not a writer, but I can applaud the writer.
Right.
Because they are very diligent and they are skilled at what they do. You know what I mean?
Right. It's a matter of finding what your lane is, if you will.
And be passionate in pursuing it. And so, and in this day and age with social media and the way that we celebrate celebrities so much, we think like, that's what we have to be. That's the pinnacle. But we really don't. It's the opposite. We have to be uniquely ourselves. That's where our power is.
I find it so strange that young people today want to be an influencer.
Yes.
And what does that get you? It gets you followers, but you don't know that they're following you. They're not. And maybe somebody gives you free things. You might get shoes, or you might get clothes, or whatever. But I don't know that it really is a talent.
Here's the thing. I mean, it's tricky because I do think that we are all influencers. I'm like, you're just stating the obvious. We are all influencers because everywhere that we go, every room that you walk into, you are influencing that space. But in terms of that label of being an influencer, what are you really doing? Yes, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of times young people want to be rich.
That's what I'm saying. You're in my mind, you're manipulating the system to be able to create income for yourself. Because even truly, you're putting things out there that are not true, that are not truly reflective of what your life is. And then on top of that, you're now influencing people to believe that that's what the bar is. So really, you're actually degrading our society, in my mind.
Right.
That's how I feel.
I agree with you.
To each his own. But I feel like we should be putting things out there that are going to hopefully let people be able to look in the mirror and see the value in themselves. Not look on social media to realize that I'm less than all of this. I need to be this to be somebody. No, you don't. And that's what I love about the Expressway, because the Expressway is really about, as long as you are you, and as long as you so into you and you express who you are all that you need to be.
Did you ever deny who you were?
Did I ever deny? I mean, I'm sure.
Like, would you downplay that you could dance?
No, I never downplay that I could dance because I do believe that there's power in exposure. And when you can see other people doing it, it lets you know that I can too. And even at a young age, I had my older brother, I had my cousins who were going to dance school. So they were already doing it. So to me, it was already cool. So I never...
It wasn't like, they'll never know I'm a dancer.
Yeah, no, because but that's the power of exposure. Because when you feel like you're all alone, then you do kind of cower a little bit because you're like, no one else like me does this. But when you can see somebody but again, going back to the show, that's why it's important for people to be able to share what they do, because you never know who is watching you. You might think that what you're doing is of no consequence, but you never know who is watching you, and you never know who you are empowering just by existing and expressing yourself.
What happened to the Wonder Years?
That is a good question, Bruce. If you had the answer to that, I mean,
I love that show, and
I did too. I was really honored to be able to tell that story, to be able to give the experience of Black nostalgia and really show that we all have nostalgia. We are all a part of this country, which is very... As I'm talking about it now, it makes sense that I love that show so much, and I love the Expressway, because it is all about, we all have these stories that are very unique to ourselves, but also...
And we haven't heard.
But also very common too, where we can see that just because someone doesn't look like me, doesn't mean that I can't relate to their experience. I'd hope that we would have had more time to build our audience and engage the audience, but it's show business. In this day and age, it's like do or die. You have to, make it happen right then and that quickly. Networks can move on to what is going to affect their bottom line.
Does that make you skittish about going into another project like that, or?
No, because I've played my cards as an artist. It's like, I'm going to keep looking for work that I think will be effective and inspirational and hopefully empowering people. And I'm going to keep looking for stories that I think need to be told. But that's the thing, like with the story, it's always like lightning in a bottle. You create something, you get together with people, you put it out there, and you don't know what's going to land. I will say, when I saw the pilot for The West Wing, I knew that it could be a great show if they could do that week in, week out. But Psych, I had no idea it was going to last for 8 seasons, and the show premiered in 2006, I believe, and we're in 2023, and there's probably more cycles now than back then. Even the phenomenon of Suits, you just don't know. All you can do is be creative and see that thing that is inside of you that you feel you want to be a part of or want to express, put it out there.
Is there something on the list that you say, I still want to do this?
I mean, I still have a desire. Like, I started in musical theater, acting, singing, and dancing. I really want to be able to bring that to the screen. Gregory is one of my huge inspirations. And every time I think about musicals and doing tap and singing on screen, I think of Gregory, at least in terms of the near history.
Right.
And I would love to be able to do that, be a part of something where I get a chance to really dance.
His story?
Maybe Gregory's story, maybe,
Oh, do it.
There's a lot of stories to tell, maybe Gregory's story, but I don't know what story. I don't know what story, but I do know I desire to act, sing, and dance on screen.
All right, Bruce, thanks for that interview. Might have to check that one out and see the tap dance kid back in action, huh?
Expressway on PBS.
All right. So, one of my favorite shows of the last few years has been The Handmaid's Tale, and that's back, right? Where we got a new season of The Handmaid's Tale.
No.
You said we were going to be talking about Elisabeth Moss, right?
Elizabeth Moss is in a new series. She was able to do in between the shows a thing called The Veil, and it's about spies. She plays a British spy who is kind of taking a Thelma and Louise trip with another woman that she's trying to get some information out of. So there are a lot of twists and turns in this that you're not quite sure where it's headed. They filmed it in Turkey. She said, they were all complaining about, oh, it's so cold. Oh, we can't take this. It's just a word. She said, I just told them to shut up because I'm in Canada all the time filming Handmaid's Tale. You know how cold that is? And she's a producer of this, so maybe she was able to get through to the people. Don't complain. But they also went to Paris and they went to London. And so it was a real big kind of a European tour. And they were filming in places that haven't been seen before on screen. It's a thriller, and it is not, it does have its basis in truth, but it does not have a specific character. It's not like, where you go, oh, this was so-and-so's story. No, it's not. It's intriguing to hear her speak with a British accent because I don't associate that with her. And she said she really studied it. She took a long time to make sure that she was getting it right so that then when she actually started acting, she didn't have to think about how you would pronounce the words. But she had a good time with this. And yeah, we talked on the phone after I had seen her actually in California. And she filled me in a little bit more about the series. And I do think it is interesting because when she was in Mad Men, she was freaked. She thought, after Mad Men ends, I'm never getting work again. I don't know where this is going to be headed. I don't know what's going to happen. And then she got work. And somewhere in the middle of Handmaid's Tale, she was able to do other thing. And she realized that there was enough of a break in those episodes because they don't do 20, 30 episodes of a series. Right. There is enough time to do something else. And when she did Top of the Lake, that was the thing that opened it up for her and made her believe, you know what? Don't freak out about these things. Use that extra time to do something that you'd like to do. And so she's waiting. They will have the last season of Handmaid's Tale, but it won't be starting shooting until September. So you got to wait a little bit more.
That show, I don't know. That show, like the first few seasons of it, I really loved, but it just feels like, I don't want to say the show jumped the shark, but it's getting a little tough because it feels like under normal circumstances, that show should have either ended multiple times already or her character should have been killed off because she's so, pushing back against the regime. Like she, based on their rules and laws and how they operate, she should have been killed, right? I mean, that's right. How many characters in it? I always thought it would have been very bold of them to take a Game of Thrones approach where no character is safe and right. You don't know, like, hey, Elisabeth Moss, we know the show is based around you, but if something bad happens, because they've gone off book. I mean, it's not like they're following the original book to a T anymore. So, I mean, they could have done anything they wanted, and it just feels like they've really stretched it out. And after the end of season 5, which was that wrapped in November of 2022, and I'm thinking like, okay, I'm okay here. We'll come back in a year. We know the 6th season will be done, and I can stick with it for 10 more episodes. But I like, when are they going to debut it now? Sometime in mid 2025, late 2025. It's going to be 3 years since.
And you know what else they could do? Split it into 2 parts.
Oh, my God.
That's happened before.
It has. I mean, Sopranos, Game of Thrones, they all do it. They go, instead of 10, we've waited so long. We're going to give you 14 episoades, but it's going to be right. 7 and 7.
Right.
Oh, my.
Yeah, that's how that works. You mentioned the Kill 'Em Off. When Big Sky, it was set in Montana, and it was about.
Yeah, I never watched it, but I know it.
This kind of oddball killer that was out there. They made a huge deal. Ryan Phillippe starring in Big Sky. Ryan Phillippe. We'll interview Ryan Phillippe. Ryan Phillippe was killed in the first episode. So if you held that story thinking that you were going to do the Ryan Phillippe story maybe 2 or 3 weeks down the road, you were out of luck. So it does happen.
Yeah.
But be careful. If Meryl Streep comes on a series, maybe she isn't making it all the way to the end.
Right.
Because they don't want to be tied down now. Yeah, so Handmaid's Tale, you're right. Maybe they should have killed somebody off in the beginning. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see how they wrap it up. I don't know if it stays true to the books. Are you familiar with how they ended?
No. Well, I think that's part of the problem is the main book I thought, I never read the book, but my understanding is she basically just escapes Gilead, and at some point, I don't know if she meets up with her daughter or not, but I just know that I believe there is an escape from Gilead, but I'm not completely sure how it pans out. And I know the second book, the more recent book, it takes place like further in the future, so it's more of like a history lesson, because I guess it takes place after the fall of Gilead, so it becomes more of a looking back as to what happened and how it ended kind of thing. Again, didn't read it, so I might be speaking out of place a little bit, but that's just the general understanding that I have of it. So I feel like they've gone so far off book with the series. That's my understanding, is that they've kind of just created new storylines that are totally different from what was originally conceived. So from my perspective, I think, you could do whatever you want at this point. It's just like, it really just needs to be summed up and finished.
So will you come back?
Yeah, because I'm too invested. There becomes that point where even if a show, to me, it's not like it hasn't gone so bad where it's just unwatchable, right? There's certainly series that we've all watched where you get a season or two into it and you're like, yeah, I'm good at this point. Like 911, that the show that was on Fox that then jumped over to ABC now.
Right.
I watched the first couple seasons of it, but then all the disasters kept on getting more and more ridiculous, and it's like, yeah, I'm good now. I think I've seen enough.
We all have that friend who wakes up early to go get everyone McDonald's breakfast, while the rest of us sleep in. This is your sign to thank them. And if you're that friend, this is us saying thank you.
Just a friendly reminder that right now, get any size iced coffee before 11 a.m. for just 99 cents. And a satisfying sausage McMuffin with egg is just $2.79. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Yeah, so the Veil is starting now. And then September, they will shoot. She's pregnant right now. So
okay.
I'm sure they're waiting until after although those costumes, would you need it? I think she could do it now if she wanted to.
Probably.
She's a producer on it as well. She won 2 Emmys, one for acting, one for producing. And so then they'll do that, and we'll see that the next year. But she really wants to use the time for movies. And she's done very well in the movie business. And I think she will have a good career in films if she decides that she's going to leave that behind.
Absolutely.
But somebody who has really blossomed also starts another season, and that's Jean Smart in Hacks. I love, love, love Hacks. I think it's one of the best comedies around. And this time out, Jean had a little health scare between the second and the third seasons. And so they were kind of worried about what can we do with her, how much. And you know what? In the third season, I watched all of it. It was one of those binges where she was doing so many things. I mean, there are acrobatics in this, and it's not just a stunt double doing the kind of stuff. She's good. But the interesting thing with this is at the end of the second season, she was doing a special that was going to be kind of her capper to her career, because her career as a stand-up comedian in Vegas was kind of going downhill. And she had nowhere to go. Well, so she did this special. The special was a huge hit. And she's kind of back in the light again. But her writing partner / friend / frenemy, Ava, left her. And they had a kind of a little fight about all of that. And she went on, and she's on like a Daily Show kind of series where she's a writer on that and doing really well. So she doesn't really need Deborah. But then Deborah gets this opportunity, if you will, to be the host of a late night talk show. And that was the big unfinished business for her, is that she never got to host a talk show. Well, there's an opportunity here, and she wants it. And so she says, Ava, I need you. Hannah Einbinder plays the role. And she says, what can we do? So they plot to try and land this talk show. And it's fascinating what they do. They even go to like celebrity golf tournaments, and you see Deborah, that's Jean Smart's character, kind of act like, oh, I don't know how to putt. How do you do this? Show me how to putt. And it's like Ava's really mad at her for like, you're selling out to these men. Why are you doing this? This is not you. She says, sometimes you have to do this stuff if this is what you want. There are a lot of eye-opening situations. She also has a huge Christmas party that is a hoot. You've never seen anybody do Christmas like she does Christmas. And the thing I love about that show is that she's got this fountain in her house, not like a fountain where you have water dripping out of it. But she's got, like you see at the restaurants or at the movie theaters, where they will fill the cups with Coke or 7-Up or whatever it is. It's like with that in her kitchen. And I'm thinking, is this something I really think I need? I think I need to have the Coke man come over to my house every week, and I can just pour whenever I want.
Yeah, tastes better.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But yeah, so you'll see all these kind of little things. And then her daughter has a story that she's got to tell. And then her sister, Kathy, shows up. So there are many, many things, and a lot of guest stars that I wish I could name them for you, but I'm held. I cannot tell the names of the people who show up. But let's just say some red-haired comedian from Las Vegas gets an appearance. So that's Hacks. And Hacks starts this week, or in May, first week of May. Dulé Hill in the Expressway, and then you need to see The Veil, and that'll be on FX, Hulu, that kind of combo thing that I don't know which one gets it first or who has it when, but it was FX or Hulu. And then we have on Max is the third season of Hacks.
Well, that's a lot to watch. I have something that I've been watching recently.
Okay, what's the show?
So you remember Ozark, right, from Netflix?
I loved Ozark. Yeah,
isn't it great? You ever wonder, with that show, all those houses, right? Everybody's living on the water, and they got the boats, and they've got their docks and all that. Well, picture that. And now picture House Hunters from HGTV.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
They have a show now. It's called Lakefront Empire. It's on HGTV. It's also streaming on Max, so you can kind of binge on that and avoid the commercials if you want, if you're paying extra for that. So we kind of stumbled on it. It was like my wife and I were just looking for something new to watch, and it was more by accident than anything. We kind of saw it maybe come up on TV briefly, and I was like, whoa, that seems kind of fun to watch. So we pop it on. We get the premiere episode going. And it's instantly addictive. They follow, I want to say, between 2, 3. There's like 3 or 4 kind of real estate agents that they follow, and each episode they like 2 of the 3 focus in on clients, right? So like, and it's typically a mix. Like one of them might have like a super high end client, somebody that's looking for a $4 or $5 million house, and then the other one is it's just an average person who just wants to have like a lake house, and they got maybe 200,000 to spend, and what can you get for that? But it feels a little bit more honest than House Hunters, because how like House Hunters, it is staged. Like, I mean, if not to give it away, they already have their house picked, so it's like, if you want, because I know somebody that reached out to them trying to see, hey, I'm in the market for a house, and they're like, well, if you want to do the show, this is how it works. You need to have an accepted offer and be like basically ready to close, and then we'll take you to that house and then 2 more on top of it, and then you have to make your decision. But this one, they're actually taking clients out, and I don't want to give away too much of it, but it's not like at the end where you're like, oh, they just moved into this house and now it's 6 months later. They leave you hanging sometimes as to what they might find, but it's really fascinating to see, if you got $4 million to spend on a house, the things that you start nitpicking over, like, yeah, that tray ceiling just isn't high enough for me. This is nice and all, but I don't want to have to walk down the steep slope to the boat launch. Like, that's just, it's a little like, that boat launch, it's nice, but if I want a really nice boat launch, like, I'm gonna have to drop $100,000 on a new boat launch, and I really don't want to have to spend another 100 when I'm dropping 3.5 million on it to begin with. So
do they crack open the drywall to see if there's money in there?
No, but this is like the best hook of Ozark. So what is Ozark based on? It's based on drugs, right?
Right.
One of the real estate agents in this show did 15 years for dealing coke. So it's kind of hilarious how she gets into it. She starts telling her backstory, and it's like, oh, that's nice. You did your time and you got out and you got your real estate license, and you're trying to put your life back together, and this is wonderful. So then, the first client she has, she's like, here's this house, check out this kitchen, it's got a nice island. And then kind of in between, it's like, by the way, I was convicted for selling drugs and I did 15 years. And then the expressions on the clients are like, what? Are we going to drop her immediately? But then they do the cutaway, of course. And it's like, we're happy that she's getting her life back together and things are working out. But it's been a fun show. We binged through and got caught up. New episodes are airing weekly, basically. I don't know how many total are going to be in this season, but this gets the seal of approval from me.
Those Selling Sunset people, go back and look again. This is not what we're doing. Have you seen a thing called Down Home Fab?
No,
it's on
I
HGTV, and it is set in South Dakota. So it's this couple that kind of put a lot of cow heads and cow hides and stuff around homes that they decorate. But they really want to be the Chip and Joanna of the Midwest, is what this is my take on Chelsea and is it Cole DeBoer. And so they've opened a store that's not far from me, and I had to see this sucker. I have to go there. And you too can get your own cow heads and cow hides.
Nice.
They're in there. But it is high end. It looks nice. It really looks nice, and the prices are high. But they weren't there, tending the store. So I had no way of asking them. Now, what would I do in my living room if I really wanted to tear out a load-bearing wall? We try to trip them up a little bit if they know anything about fixing homes. Because I think a lot of those home shows, I don't know that they know any more than I do.
Right, exactly.
The gutters look a little rusty. Should I take the house or not?
Right.
But HGTV, deep dive. I'll be watching then. I will find out. But I bet you any money they're going to be starting digging up those holes all over.
They should, yeah.
Right?
But Lakefront Empire, check it out. And as I said, obviously there's clearly some drama created in here just to keep it interesting. But it does feel a little bit more real than some of the other shows they've done, because there's times where they're like, put in the offer at 400 instead of 450. So it's like way below list. And then they call back and like, yeah, we rejected your offer. So it's not like necessarily a happy ending with every episode. So it is like a little bit more realistic.
You're never promised a house.
Right, exactly. Some get them, some don't, and it is what it is. And sometimes the search continues, right, Bruce?
Always. For me, it took me, I swear the lady was going to give up on me. I had a real estate agent. She says, now let's look at this house. And I would say, oh, yeah, I don't like that. And finally, she got to the point where she said, you can't be that picky. You just have to take one and make changes.
Yeah.
So that's where I am now. And I've been rechanging rooms like crazy every year.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. I mean, I probably looked at 20 houses before I ended up closing in on the one I'm in right now. I mean, it can take a while sometimes. And if you're in a hot market, makes it more complicated.
And then you end up, I guess I'll stay where I am. This is fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. In case you're interested, this is the year I'm working on Curb Appeal.
Right.
So my Curb Appeal is going to be a little, we're upping the game a bit.
Okay.
Now, next week, we're going to be talking about Challengers. This is this tennis movie.
Zendaya's
in. Yeah, that'll come out. So if you can, see it this weekend, and then we'll talk about Challengers.
Zendaya, she has come a long way since her start on, what was it, Disney or Nick Jr.
Disney. I interviewed her on the Disney lot where she was with that Bella Thorne. They were in a show together, and Bella was kind of seen as the one who was going to become something. And Zendaya was the sidekick.
That's
Not
right.
much, right?
No, she's made an interesting turn. Gotten more adult. That's for sure.
That's right.
But yeah, so we'll talk Zendaya next week. It'll be good.
Zendaya's going to be we'll do a deep dive on Zendaya and tennis.
Perfect. All right. Well, on that note, we'll be back again with another episode of Streamed and Screened.
Pulling up to Mickey D's just for drinks? Oh yeah, that's me. Nothing extra, just perfection and a straw. Coming in hot for the coldest cups on the block. Because there are drinks. Then there are drinks from McDonald's.
Ever combine an ice-cold frozen Coke with piping hot fries? Try frozen drinks any size for $1.49. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.